This is going to be a good episode. I know that for a fact because we've been sitting here for probably
20 minutes. Like a half
dude, we've
hour.
been sitting here for like at least 40 minutes
Yeah.
having a good time before the show with my new friend Byron.
Yes,
met
sir.
on Instagram. I was following him for a little bit. And his life, or like what little of it he did show was really awesome to me. It seemed like he had a really close family. He spends a lot of time flying in the air. He's a businessman, and like after following him for such a long time, I was just really interested to get him in here and just kind of learn about his businesses and kind of how he got into business, you know, his philosophies, and just, you know, take whatever we could away from this man, because there's definitely like good vibe here.
For sure.
So welcome. Just where do we start? So you own, what is your business, your main business?
My main business is Interstate Transportation Systems, which has a couple of different divisions under it. You have Interstate Fleet Services, and that is a fleet management company. So
Yeah, you were saying it's like AAA for trucking.
that's the perfect analogy. We're like the AAA of the trucking business. When big tractor trailers and heavy equipment and buses and whatever kind of commercial vehicle has a disabled breakdown on the side of the road, we send our diesel technicians out who are on call to go out and repair them on the roadside.
Yeah, so I mean, it's really unique that you kind of, this all kind of came together, and like you came in at this time, because I've been hearing a lot, because we're involved in the construction industry, and everything we get comes on trucks,
Right.
or is delivered on trucks, or, you know, the stuff we're buying has material, like that company's getting trucks delivered to them that
Yeah.
they need, and all that industry is completely torn up right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do you see any end in sight in there, or do you see any solution to like how much that industry is in turmoil right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's been worse. You know, it's been a lot worse than what it is right now. But you know, trucking is based on the consumer, so you know, it's based on what's on the shelves and what's and what people are buying. You know, if people are out buying things and people are shopping, then the trucks are gonna keep moving. You know, trucks move America. You know, it's not going to be much that's going to stop trucks. You may slow it down, but it's not going to stop them. And because that's the way we get freight moved around. That's the way you move the freight, on the back of a truck. You know, you got other ways to move. You know, you got ships and airplanes, but when it gets to the port, you got to get it to the store. There's only one way to get there, and that's the trucks.
Yeah, because
So-
stuff like cereal and lumber, like you can't fly that into a delivery. It would be so astronomically expensive and inefficient. It just wouldn't make sense.
That's correct. So that's why they use trucks, because you know, and ships don't go everywhere, and you can't put everything on an airplane.
So how did we get here into the trucking industry like the way it is today? Was the corona kind of like led people to take a step back from trucking, or is it like an increase in people buying like merchandise? Like what do you see as like the main component, like, or driver of that?
When they start shutting down the cities,
Yeah.
telling people that they can't go to shop, and the stores stop buying things.
Okay.
The consumers stop shopping, so the stores stop ordering truckloads of whatever it is. You know, supermarkets, you know, wasn't ordering, you know, the things that we.
When people were only concerned about toilet paper.
Well, right,
Yeah.
but they couldn't even get it.
Yeah.
You know, they wanted to order it, but they couldn't get it, and so many people were short of staff, in the manufacturing companies that was making the toilet paper, because the businesses are shut down. So you know, they can't produce it, and
Because
then
they
can't
don't
get
have
it.
the room to store it because their warehouse is full and
Yep.
they can't get it out of the house.
They can't move it. So now you're stuck, and it gets to the store. I mean, it can't get to the store because the trucking companies are laying people off, because the manufacturers who we haul for is not making anything.
So are we kind of playing like this like weird puzzle of backlog, waiting for stuff to kind of like fall back into place to like, so we can ebb and flow at a more steady state?
Yeah, everybody's careful right now. You know, it's you know, if you're in the trucking business right now, you know, you're really paying attention to um what they're saying about mask, and because that's the beginning. You know, all right, what can this mask thing go to? Can it go to, you know, today is you better wear a mask. Next month it might be the stores are not allowing you to come in at a certain time, or certain people, a certain amount of people can't come in, or we're closed.
Yeah.
You know, so you just you're paying attention, and you're paying attention to the trends of what may and may not happen.
Interesting. Do you foresee, from like where you stand currently, do you foresee like another shutdown or some sort of like
No.
movement like that, or do you just think like it'll be like these random mandates on and off?
Yeah, I think we're past the height of the surge where according to the government, a lot of people has gotten the vaccine. So I think that we're in a better place than we were when it first went down.
Yeah, I like how you said according to the government.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that's
who knows? Like, you hope for the best, but who knows?
Exactly.
Who knows who's running that calculator? Right?
That's exactly right. So I mean, you know, but you would hope that if they're saying that the vaccine, you know, is working, and people see that it's working, then I like to think we're in a better place than we were last year. Last year was tough for so many. I mean, since I've been in business, I had never seen it other than 2008, you know, with the recession. But I hadn't seen it to the point where the government was giving money to businesses and PPP and take this to try to hang on. And, you know, I'd never seen it that bad. Even in 2008, we didn't get anything from the government. Nobody got anything. It was just a recession. They bailed out the banks. You know, the banks got all the money. You know, all the Wall Street got the money, you know. So
this time everybody got money.
The money. So that's what concerned a lot of people, including me, because you start thinking, and remember I told you earlier before we went on air that I'm always on edge. You know, I'm thinking like, man, if they gave us money, like people were like, they gave us money good. I'm like, they gave us money. This shit got to be bad.
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute, they giving us dough, like, you know, and it ain't just a little bit. They giving up 3 months of your payroll. Like, this might be bad.
Yeah.
So, and I'm always long haul. Like, I don't think about right now, today. I always think about so far ahead, like, you know, and so I was looking at
how far down the road do you like typically look when you're like making decisions and doing things like that?
Years, man. Like years. Like when I'm thinking about the decisions I make today, how's it going to impact me 10 years from now? And more so, how's it going to impact my family? Like when I think about the moves I make in business and how I move, I don't think about myself. I think about more so my mother and my wife. My mother's older, and my wife, you know, she depends on me. So without me, I have to, you know, really it wrecks my brain to kind of think, well, how would they be okay?
Yeah, so you have to you kind of structure the decisions you make in business so that they would benefit, like, no matter what, if you were absent. God forbid you were absent.
And it's not even just them. I mean, you know, I think it's more so down to my employees as well. You know, I'm always, any employee that sees me daily will tell you, you know, I'm always thinking the worst. Like, you know, like, man, you got to buy yourself a house because, you know, you can't be renting, you know, and you got to, you know, do this. I'm always on top of them. You know, my buddy Corey, before he passed away, he wasn't a homeowner just yet. And I was really on him about becoming a homeowner because I was looking at his situation with his family. You know, he had a wife and he have kids. And what my biggest fear was actually happened. You know, he passed and they didn't have a home, so he wasn't able to make that move for them before he actually left the earth. And so now his widow has to has to fend and step up and try to make those moves and decisions now
And figure it out.
And that's one of the hardest things to have to figure out. So that's what I try to do. You know, it's already going to be hard enough if you're not here no more.
Yeah.
That's already a task right there. It's just for your loved ones to just cope with you not being here no more. It's a little easier to do it if things are laid out the way you need to lay them out before you leave the earth. And that's why I operate the way that I do, you know, in fear. Everything's in fear.
Yeah.
You know, oh, what if, man? What if I pass away? Or, you know, I mean, people tell me all the time, like, stop talking about that. Like, you know, like you're being creepy. No, I'm being careful. I mean, there was a time when my grandmom said to me, you know, before she passed away, Byron, I want you to come over here. And, you know, and she's like, I'm like, all right, for what, Grandma? She said, because I need to go over my will with you, because I'm not going to be, I said, I'm not coming over there to talk about that. Like, I'm not coming over there to talk about your, she's like, no, I need you to come. So as I got older, you start understanding, like, oh, shit. Like, yeah,
How
man.
old were you when you kind of like started putting that mentality together?
15, 16-ish, like, you know, right around that time when my dad died and I had to figure it out. My dad died, I was 16 years old. So when I had to start making decisions, and like, that was the first news flash for me, is when, because I depended on him.
Yeah.
You know, I lived with my father full time. You know, I would go, my father and my mom was separated. So I would go see my mom on, you know, most weekends. But I depended on him. So when that the person that you're depending on wasn't there no more, you had to start figuring things out.
Yeah.
And that's one of the most hurtful things in the world. So I had to, it's one thing to figure it out. You 16 years old, this is a whole different ball game. So
yeah, that's more a real, like, there's a lot of game time decisions being made at that age.
Yeah. The only thing I have, you know, that helped me out along the way is I hung around some older people, you know, from like 13 on up to like, you know, 17. Even now, most of my good friends are a lot older than me.
Mm.
So that's helped out, because you can, you know, see them and ask them, hey, what happened with this? But everything that I've done has been motivated by probably somebody that's older than me. I mean, from, you know, things like real estate and, you know, business ownership, and even being a pilot. You know, it took me to see a good friend of mine, you know, land his helicopter behind my office over and over and over again before I walked over to that grass and said, who are you and what do you do? Like Will Smith did on Pursuit of Happiness.
Yeah, I love that movie.
Yeah, that's exactly how I felt.
Just, what do you do?
That's exactly what I said. Who are you and what do you do? And I mean, he looked at me like I was crazy. He didn't say I'm a stockbroker like the guy. Yeah, he looked at, but I mean, you know, fast forward, that was in 2013, and now we're really, really good friends. And if it wasn't for him, you know, I wouldn't even be a pilot right now.
So do you fly single prop currently?
Yep.
And like, what kind of plane do you have?
A Cirrus SR-22 G6.
That sounds fancy.
Yeah, it's a nice ride. We call it the little Ferrari or the Bugatti of the air.
Yeah.
You know, it's a nice ride. You know, and it gets you where you need to go.
Yeah. So is this like the first plane you owned or purchased?
Yeah. So I'm in a partnership with our plane. But I am a part owner of it, and
I understand that that's like the way to go, though.
Well, there's pros and cons to it. You know, there's pros and cons to having partners, and more so, the only con that you would have is scheduling, because when your partners have the plane,
you can't use it.
You can't use it. But we have a great app, so if I want to use it, I go in there, and you don't have 30 people in there. It's 3 or 4 people, and you know, but you know, when the plane costs $1 million and some change, you want to split it up 4 ways.
Yeah. So
it makes everything, you know, affordable for everyone. And the plane is not like a car, so you're not gonna fly it every single day.
Yeah, there's a lot of downtimes with those vehicles, so you want to maximize like the use of the vehicle, so you share it.
That's absolutely correct.
Yeah.
So you know, but I'm getting to the point now where I don't even want to share.
How many days a week or like a month do you like end up flying?
I'm still doing a lot of training. I'm doing a training right now for instrument. So I'm probably flying comfortably 2 to 3 days a week right now. If I'm not training and it's just like business stuff, probably once a week, maybe once a week. This past weekend, I flew my brother and his son up to New York, flipped around the Statue of Liberty, up the Hudson. That was the first time in probably a year that I did a leisure flight, just like some fun stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't. When I'm flying, I'm going somewhere, and that's what I like. That I'm not the big on.
It's not really like I'm flying. It's more so like the efficiency of the time you get back.
For me, yeah, the fun and games was over for me when I realized the real
value
exactly of aviation, especially being in business, and the type of business that I have. That means more to me than anything.
Because how many locations or how many states do you guys operate in?
35.
Yeah.
35. So I got service trucks in 35 different states throughout North America, mostly on this side of the country, on the eastern side of the country. But we just put somebody in Denver, Colorado. So we're working our way out to the west.
How far can you fly in your plane?
Comfortably 1,000 miles. But I have a 3-hour personal minimum that after 3 hours, I've had enough. So if I can get there in 3 hours, that's it for the day, or maybe for at least about 6 hours or so.
Yeah.
But that's what my little personal minimum is. That's why I always make fun and say I need a faster plane. My buddy gets to Florida in 3 hours in his TBM, and it would take me 6 hours. It's double, But that's why we always tease to say, well, keep working. And
yeah, you got a faster plane. You'll get to Florida in 3 hours soon, buddy.
Just keep building these businesses, keep buying houses. That's what it's gonna take.
So, damn, is that like kind of like what your plane is up there? That one right there, kind of.
Okay, so the one, I tell you what, if you just Google an N321 GS, you can put it all together.
Now you're looking at TV remotes.
There's my plane right there.
Oh wow!
Actually, there's a picture of me and Quincy QDZ.
Yeah, that's funny. yeah, that's so funny.
That's a real solid dude. He's a good friend of mine. Shout out to QDZ.
Yeah, that's so funny that you were like on one of the top 9 pictures up there.
Yeah. So that picture right there on the left, down at the bottom.
Yeah,
that was I took that picture. That was the very first day I seen that plane. That was when we first got it.
How many seats does it have?
You can fit 5 people comfortably.
Oh, damn.
An SUV in the air.
Yeah.
It's like a really expensive Jeep Cherokee.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It just goes about 200 and some odd miles an hour. But
damn.
So when you like started to become can you fly helicopters or just planes?
No, just fixed aircraft. I've flown in multiple helicopters. I have a friend of mine who flies both, and but I have no desire at this very time to fly helicopters.
Yeah. It's like a whole other different thing, throttling up and controlling,
Yeah, it's a different ball game. I enjoy, listen, that's even more convenient than the airplane.
Yeah, because you can land kind of wherever you want.
If I look out my office door, there's a helipad right there. So imagine that,
Yeah.
There's some video floating around on the internet of me flying on that helicopter and getting off and walking right across the grass like we was at the White House. Yeah, man.
That's awesome.
Yep. So it's
Is that on your Instagram?
Yeah, that's definitely on it. It's on my IG.
Look it up.
Where do you like being in 35 states and like growing it, like where are you currently trying to like push your business towards, or like where are you trying to like
nationwide? I like to service all 48. In every metropolitan area throughout the country. I'd like to have guys in that. So, it comes down to convenience, for the customer. to be able to call one person when they need something.
Because you have a lot of people that operate nationally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if they break down in one state, they have to call one dude. You'd rather them just call you.
Yeah, most of our customers call us everywhere we are, but it's just like what if I don't have somebody in that area, I used to have a business where we would sub the work out, but it just wasn't a good fit for, a few of our customers and some of our vendors. So,
yeah, just things didn't work out trying to manage like another person's business practices.
Correct.
And then like apply them to your customer. We have that problem.
I'm
not so much anymore, but it is difficult to work.
I'm in the fleet management. I'm in the fix and trust. I am a diesel mechanic by trade. So let me stick to what I know.
Yeah.
Let me stick to it because that's what I'm good at. So, let me stick to what I know I can do and really work my ass off to make that as big and badass as I can.
Do you foresee, like, what are the challenges taking a business from, like, one state across so many states that, like, people don't, like, if I'm a construction company, right, and I want to go into other states, like, off the top of your head, like, what kind of, like, challenges would I overcome, like, trying to manage a company across such a large area?
Well, I get asked that question a lot. Coming from the trucking business, when I had tractor trailers, the way I looked at it is, my tractor trailers are all over the place. They're going places. But you got to remember, in construction, you probably need bricks and mortar. In our business, it's just vehicles. I'm not attached to no vehicle whatsoever. I'm attached to my family. So if I need that vehicle to make me money, and I just got to find the right person to hire to put in there that I can trust. That's the most challenging part, is finding good people. You hire good people at any business and your business is going to thrive. That's the biggest challenge for any business owner. I don't care if you're making $100 a week or $100 million a week. The biggest challenge is the people. So in any business, scaling it, okay, you here in Pennsylvania, Buckingham. All right, you got an office in Florida. Who are you depending on down there to go see that homeowner at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning? You'd be there at 9 o'clock, but are they going to be there at 9 o'clock? Or are they going to be there at 9:15? Or are they going to call you and tell you that they kid threw up on their brand new suit, or somebody died, or some BS that's going to stop them from you making your business thrive in Florida?
Yeah.
It all comes down to the people. If you're a people person and you know how to build up people, you're going to do well in any business. Don't matter what the business is, construction, transportation, pharmaceutical, it doesn't matter. It's all about the people, the culture that you create within your office and within your organization. And if you can master that, then you're going to be a really great success story. So that's the biggest challenge is the people. I mean, the business is the easy part.
Did you find that, like, you were able to, like, manage people to a certain degree because, like, you held yourself to a certain standard? Or, like, what was your, like, initial, I guess, why did you become a leader, I guess, of your business? Like, how come people saw you that way?
Because I don't micromanage them. I don't. I used to kind of like, I micromanage myself, but I don't make people feel like, listen, we either gonna get money together or we ain't. It's just that simple. We gonna make some money or you ain't. We ain't gonna make no money. I'm gonna either make money with you or somebody else. So here's the job. I need you to do this. Do you want to do it? Yeah, B, I want to do it. All right, well, let's go. If you don't want to do it, that's cool. Don't stop me from me doing me because you want to, slow me down. Let me go. If this ain't what you want to do, let me go so I can go find somebody that want to do it. So I guess getting to the point of just being transparent with people and talking to people and just kind of like, just dealing with them. I got this electrician, right? he's a good friend of mine. I'm not gonna say his name, but a lot of people watching this video, y'all know who I'm talking about. But he just can't be straight up. You know, yo, Byron, I'm gonna be there tomorrow at 8:00. At 8:00, float around, and he ain't there. Now, I know he means well, but goddamn, like, if you tell me you're gonna do something, do it. I had that problem when I was a kid. I used to drive my tow truck, and my buddy Daniel Robinson, he would call me up, and he had a Sunoco service center, and he would call me up, and he would say, Byron, I need you for a tow. This is back in the day when we had beepers. Mm-hmm. I call him back in 5 minutes, like, yo, I'm, you know, he like, I got a tow for you. I said, all right, bet. Where you at? I'm 5 minutes away.
That's what you would say?
That's what I would always say.
Yeah.
It didn't matter where I was. I'm 5 minutes away. I'll be there in 5 minutes. 20 minutes later, I'm 3 minutes away. And then, you know, and then one day he said, you finally, you get,
everybody's got a friend like that.
Listen, he, at 1 minute, I'm right around the corner and I'm freaking in Center City trying to get my ass through traffic. You learn to, you know, to change, after some really intense talks with people. You know, he sat down and talked to me like, Byron, you know, you got to be a man of your word. And being a man of your word is, you know, for me, I didn't think that, you know, I probably just thought I was going to lose the business if I didn't tell him I was going to be there right then and there.
Yeah.
You know, I have customers all the time that tell me, Byron, I'd rather you tell me you can't help me than to send a shitty technician to do my work. I'd rather give you the business later than you send just anybody to do my work. From that point on, it made it easier for me to part ways with technicians that wasn't doing the job the way I needed to do to get the job done. Because the same way with Dan, I would only tell him that because I thought I was going to lose the business. When he sat down with me, he said to me, Byron, you just tell me you're going to be there at a certain time. I'm going to let the customer know. We still going to get the money, but I only did it in fear. And I think that's what a lot of people do. They do it in fear if they're not organized. You know, some people is just not organized. They just say anything out of their mouth. But you do it thinking that you're going to lose something. You know, I got a buddy of mine that very successful, billionaire status. And he told me, he said, I got a call from Amtrak one day. They wanted me to build something. He said, I could do it. I didn't even draw the damn print yet. You know, like I didn't even put it on paper yet. But he's like, you know, I did it. You know, I got it. I took the order and whatever. But we do that and we think, I'm going to lose this business if I don't give them a great ETA or estimated time that it's going to be done. And it's just, you know, it's being more transparent with people. You just really, really want to be straight up, you know, about what you can do and what you can't do. And you'll find in doing so, it ain't going to even change your bottom line. It's just going to make relationships better.
Yeah, I find that we're good at communicating with our customers.
Yeah.
Where our failure is that we're taking information from like subcontractors or material suppliers that are behaving that fashion.
Yeah.
And then like we got to go back to the customer. And I've now learned over like, this is recent, like last 3 months.
Yeah.
Because we had like a tile guy who was doing it to us all the time. Or he'd be like, I'm being there tomorrow. I'll be there tomorrow. I'll be there tomorrow. I'll be like, dude, this house has a delivery date. Like customers are moving into it.
Yeah.
You need to be here when you say you're going to be here because we're communicating to like our customers who are depending on us. Like, I bet on you.
Yeah.
Right. So it's definitely like, I know that feeling. Like it happens all the time. So now I got into the habit of like, if I know the customers really well, I'll be like, hey, look, this is what he told me. I'm not getting a good vibe about it.
Yeah.
I'm going to follow up continuously and update you as it's going. But like, just know that like, we're doing what we can here.
That is the biggest problem being a developer right now is dealing with vendors, dealing with repair companies. That is the biggest. If any developer, you sat down, you interviewed them, I don't care who it is. It can be somebody as high up as Bart Blackstein, somebody as small as the new guy getting started. The biggest problem is contractors, as vendors, hiring these contractors. And, you know, that's why, you know, earlier today, I just talked to the gutter guys. You know, gutter guys came out to my house and gave me a price that was literally double what most people would charge for gutters. But I deal with them because I ain't got to worry about calling them again.
Yeah.
I gave them their money. They're going to be there on the day that they say they're going to be there. Shout out to the gutter guys because they are.
The company is called the Gutter Guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I use them. Do you remember the Club Awesome thing? We built that pool and everything. That was my first time using them, and I was like, I'm not calling them. And the customer was there, like, no, call them. And I called them up, and just from my initial experience dealing with them on the phone, like their system, I was like, there's not a doubt in my mind. They're showing up exactly when they're gonna say they're gonna be.
That's what they do,
and it was insane. I was like, how are you sure? I literally called the lady out. I was like, how are you sure about that? And she was like, we know.
Yeah,
They have gutters down to a science.
Yep, and they're not the only company. I mean, there's other companies that, when you need something done, you either want it done fast and efficient, but it ain't gonna be affordable. It's gonna be on the higher end, but you're paying for service. So if you want it done cheap, just be, if you're trying to save money and still get it right, you're probably gonna deal with some calling back, and people telling you that I'm gonna be there and I ain't gonna be there. And that's what I get. My electrician is just real cheap. He's great at his job. I mean, he get praised by the inspectors all the time, But when you pay the money,
he's good at running wires, but he's not good at time management or showing up or wearing
not
a
at
watch.
all. And he's a great friend of mine. And he know I don't care. I'll tell the world. Like, you know how to run some wire, bro. But your organization sucks, and I don't even care because, that's what it. If you ain't his friend, if you scared to tell him,
Yeah,
if I'm missing the mark and you don't tell me, you ain't my friend. I might not like it when you tell me, but we ain't cool. We ain't brown. If you know I ain't shit and you ain't gonna tell me. Listen, my friends, if they ain't shit, I tell them straight up. Like, if you don't. You're gonna respect me later because you're gonna know I was 100 with it.
Yeah.
And I tell, anybody that's around me, I don't need no yes men. I don't need people that's just going, yeah, Byron, whatever. Yeah, no, I don't need none of that. I need somebody that's gonna disagree with me. Like, tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I should. And that's who Corey was, that's who he was. I tell Corey in a heartbeat, tell that motherfucker that, he fired. And tell him just like that. Corey say, Byron, we cannot do that, sir. God rest his soul. We can't do that, B. You tell that motherfucker he fired right now. Byron, I'm not doing that, sir. And then he'll take my words. All right, Byron, I tell him, and then I hear him in the office. Sir, I'm sorry, but we are not able to use you anymore. We wish you the best. We wish you all the best. That ain't what the fuck I said. I'll tell you, man, that was my boy. But he was that one that took it and just kind of like put the filter on me a little bit and made it right for the people. But he always gave it to me straight, and that's why I kept him close to me. I don't care what nobody would say, but that's exactly why. And I taught him that. I taught him over the years because he was a yes man at first. Just always saying what he think I want to hear, and I had to tell him like, Berg, I need you to like disagree with me sometimes because, I'm only as good as the people that's around me, and if you got people around you just agreeing with anything you say, you got the wrong people around you, and I'm not saying that they got to tell you in public, but somebody that's close to you got to be able to pull you to the side and tell you, I don't care who you are, you out of line. You out of line, and you gotta fix that. You gotta make that right. And it's not right that we do that. And and I'm happy that I had our relationship because he was the one that definitely did that for me.
Yeah, cheers to that. That's about like not everybody has even that relationship in life. So like I definitely you should definitely feel privileged to like even have had that. For
Absolutely.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Having like those yes type people around you is a cancer to a business.
Absolutely. Just gonna agree with you. Everything.
Would you how do you go? Because like how many employees do you have then? Like you have a decent amount of people.
Yeah. At Interstate, man, I don't know. It's up there. I want to say probably total between everything I got going on, probably close to 100.
So like how do you what system do you have to like like vet these people out or hire them? Like, do you interview them, or do you have people that are interviewing them? Like, how do you maintain that image across such a large area?
So we have human resources, and believe it or not, I'm literally still 1 foot in, but I'm on my way out of it because we're getting ready to hire a recruiter to go along with the HR. But take it back 2 years, it was no different. Corey and I was in our office together, and he shadowed me for years, and we were the ones that was hiring people, on all platforms, talking to people, video phone calls.
Yeah, because you had to be the one to pick the people for your business.
Yeah. So, and we got to vet people. So, you got to look through a lot of resumes and find the right person and make sure that they are fit for you and make sure that they're willing to do your job. And you still going to do all that and you still going to have turnover.
Yeah.
You're going to go through it, you're going to hire 10 people. You might keep 3, and I mean for the long haul. You're going to turn over 7. My brother Brandon told me one day, we was arguing. This is years and years and years ago. He said, "You got a revolving door. Everybody keep coming and leaving." I said, "Google got a revolving door. University of Pennsylvania got a revolving door. Every business, if you got a lot of people working for you, it's going to be a revolving door. It's just what it is. People's needs are going to change, and it doesn't have to be a bad thing, especially nowadays in our business. I mean, I just lost one of my guys that I really, really value and, really have an appreciation for his work. But he had, he wanted to move on to some bigger and better things for him and his family. And you can't be mad at that, and as much as we threw everything at him but the kitchen sink to stay. But, he was a great guy. And we've replaced him, twice already. But when you get good people, you got to try to hold on to them, because they don't stick around. All birds ain't meant to be caged.
Is there like any one characteristic or like attribute or something that like you look for in people that are working for you? Like
road warrior, relentless.
That's your word?
Road warrior. You got to be a hustler. I ain't in no bunch of excuses. I don't care who got, I tell my tenants the same way when I move them in. Listen, I don't care who passed away, who got ran over with the Mack truck, whose grandmother's toenail fungus is growing into her mouth or whatever. Yeah. Listen, I just want
I hope
my
that's
rent
not an
money.
actual excuse.
I don't. You hear the crazy. I just want my rent money. Just pay me or roll. Just pay me or just give me my rent or roll out. So I mean, and it's the same way in business. If you want to work, just be relentless about your job. Come to work. You ain't got to give me nothing extra. Because I don't want to pay you nothing extra. I'm going to pay you for exactly what you do.
Yeah.
So if you give me 40, just expect 40. If you work 1, don't expect to get 40, And we're very generous with all of our employees, and all of our contractors across the country, But more so, it's just mainly, just be ready to work.
Yeah.
You find people are lazy nowadays, and some people are try to use you and just trying to find an easy way to get ahead. And it's like, you knew what it was when you signed up for it. This is what I'm gonna pay you. Why can't you just do the job? Yeah. I don't want to see you riding around in my service truck or stealing some supplies out of my truck or doing side jobs in my truck, and like, it's not even worth that. Like, imagine if, you sent your estimator out to one of your properties to do a to do an estimate on an addition, and they told you, well, we ain't gonna get it done, and then a year later, he's doing it on weekends. Yeah. He done stole your customer from you. Yeah. You done all the work to get the customer. Whether you sourced them through the internet or whatever, but it's your customer, and they done sideswiped you and took your business. That's what I look for. I just look for, I'm a straight arrow, man, so it's like, and the older I get, I'm not for the BS,
How old are you though?
42.
42.
Mm-hmm.
Damn. You look good for 42.
Man, I've been.
When did you say so?
Yeah.
Oh, man, I appreciate that.
I thought when you kept saying he was young, I was like, aren't you like 37? Like 30?
Yeah,
Nah,
I was like, how
man.
much older could he possibly be than me? Yeah.
Nah, yeah, I'm 42, man. You know,
Oh,
42.
damn.
I'm blessed though. You know, I got a blessed life, and it ain't easy, man. I tell people, you know, a lot of people don't want to get in my shoes is a size 7, but trust me, it's every bit of that. You know, you know, it ain't
Some big shoes to fill.
trust me, they small, but they some big shoes to fill. You know, and people say your feet so small. You couldn't stand in my shoes if you tried. You know, trust me. Don't nobody want this smoke. It's a lot of smoke that come with this life.
Yeah.
Believe that.
Yeah, but you seem like you kind of have like at this point in your life you look like you have like a good recipe down. Like you seem like your family looks very happy. Like I see you working, you know, on your personal home.
Mhm.
You've, you know, developed your business to, I mean, 35 states is a lot.
Well, you know, I took my own advice. You know, I took my own advice years ago, and I've said this all across social media. And it wasn't nothing that I got from anybody. It was something that I actually thought of in my own brain. And it came down to, it's not what you do, it's how much of it are you doing. And I found 2 things that work for me, that work for Byron.
Yeah.
Because what works for me ain't gonna work for you. It ain't gonna work for you. It ain't gonna work for Rocky. It ain't gonna work for nobody else. When God gives you something, he gave it to you. See, I can't be a home builder on your level because that's what God gave you.
Yeah.
So God gives us all gifts. And when God gave me the gift of being in the business that I'm in, on my level, that's for me. So I've come to the point where, yeah, I got a million ideas, because I said something earlier today. If God gave you an idea, it wasn't meant to stay an idea. But you got to also recognize, what am I good at? And you got to capitalize on that, because it doesn't matter what you do. It's just how much of it are you doing. I mean, you like building homes. Why would I try to go do something else? Toll Brothers is building homes by the freaking dozens every minute.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, you got people that's, you know, doing different things. Yeah, you can diversify. There's nothing wrong with that. So for me, I look at, okay, all right, I'm in the transportation industry. I'm good at transportation and logistics. That's what I'm great at. I know how to do fleet management. I know how to do logistics. I know how to do OTR, LTL. I am great with transportation. And that came from learning by way of failing. So you learn over time because you've had failures.
So you just failed a lot very quickly.
Yep.
In the beginning.
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
you were probably running where other people were walking, so you were coming up on obstacles much more rapidly, and it probably, to like the outside world, seemed like a lot of things were happening to you, but you were just moving fast.
My brothers thought I was making money, big money. I'm talking, and I was trying my best to stay afloat, but there was a time where my payroll was getting made, but my wife and I had to heat up our house with the oven because we couldn't afford heating oil. But I might have just paid a $10,000 payroll that week. And my brother was on the payroll, and I would pay him before I paid myself. But all them, they just look at the outside. They think that you got it like that.
Yeah.
And they don't know that what it costs to really being in business.
I find that.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it is. But when you actually in business and you the one with all the bills, then they finally at one point they go out and they try it. They like, oh, woof.
Yeah, you don't really get too many people saying they're gonna like try and do what we're doing,
Right.
Because we're kind of the new guys on the block,
Right.
in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
We have experience and we're good at what we're doing, and like we, you know how to put the money together, but like we're still the small guy in a big pond.
Absolutely.
So, or ocean, or whatever you want to reference. Like people, you can come on in, try it out. Like we did a presentation for some realtors the other day, kind of to educate them on like how to help their clients go through like a new construction process. Like, what does that even cost?
Right.
And when, you know, we got through the financials and like you get to see the people writing it down and like we're going through like, all right, well, land development, so, like this is your site cost, septic, bringing water in, all this stuff. You're like at the end of the project, you're like, well, like, okay, like how much money do you think's left for the builder?
Right.
Like, you guys are selling these homes. Like, this is how much it costs.
Yeah.
How much is left for the builder?
Yeah.
Because like you guys all think like everybody's making money as a builder out here, and like you're like, oh, they're a builder, they're making money, and it's like they don't really know what it takes, like strategically, and relationships we have to put in place, and then identifying bad ones, and then doing that for like years until it works out.
But that's the biggest thing in business.
So, but it's kind of the path you choose.
That's a problem across all industries. How much does it cost to do business?
Yeah.
You know, what do I need to do business? Most business owners, I want to say most, don't know what it takes to run their business day to day as far as a financial standpoint. How much do I need every month to operate? For payroll, for the phone bill, for me to make a profit, for everything. What is that number? You ask most business owners, I mean, they probably say, I don't know.
That's 100% fact. I'm a member of a Facebook group. I think it's called Future Tradespeople of America or whatever. And it started very small, and now it's into the thousands. And every now and then I check on, you know, what the people are asking and stuff, because I definitely have a goal to, you know, generate content to like kind of help out some of these questions.
Yeah.
Because they're good questions, but they're the wrong questions.
Right.
It's, you know, hey, I'm a painter. You know, normally I do like this, this, and this, but I just took my first full house job. How do I charge for sanding and prepping all the baseboard?
Right.
Or like, how much should I charge? I'm reading that $2.99 a linear foot's like the price right now. It's like, what in God? I'll comment sometimes and like it'd be like, oh well, he's allowed to ask these questions. I'm like, yes, he is allowed, but like, if you lead a horse to water, like, yeah, he's gonna drink, but like, what are you really doing? Yeah, what are you really gonna do for that person? So like, when you see those things, I'm like, you all like, and it's so bad in that group that I'm like, at first I was getting so annoyed, and then I was like, I'm in a position of privilege because I'm looking at all of this, because like, how do you not understand the way to do business is that you got to figure out what your monthly overhead and all of these things, and these things that I just take for granted because like I started out so young,
right?
Like hustling whatever, t-shirts and, you know, everything we could figure out. Well, we could sell this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you learn those things by accident, but when you look back, you're like, wow, like if some of these people listen to like even just like a percentage of the stuff I could tell them, like it would have life-changing implications for them.
Yeah.
And that's like, I made a question one day. I was like, how many people in here would like use a spreadsheet if I made like a video and like taught you guys how to like start calculating some of your costs or bidding this way? And like the amount of, I've never gotten on anything I've posted ever, I've never gotten that amount of response.
Wow.
On anything, like pictures, cool pictures, house, like whatever, like the amount of people that responded back to that, I was like, damn, I actually have to do this now. You know what I'm saying? I was like, oh shit, gotta set aside a Friday or something to make this video. Because like the more and more I thought about it, I was like, well, where do you start? You're like, all right, well, you're building a deck. Like, you're like, all right, no, you got to start with probably what are your costs? Like, what do you, and then how much do you need to make, right, to break even? And then like like what is it going to take to sell that? And then, you know, you build it from there. But you just take that for granted when you've been doing it a while. But
I mean, that's everybody.
Everywhere.
Everybody, man. Everybody. I'm going to just start a business. I don't need to make no money. You know, 20 years later, I'm still broke. You know,
it's not a business. It's a hobby.
Right. Exactly. There you go. Like, you know, I don't need to pay no bills, you know, but I'm just going to go start something and not even know the cost of being in business, you know. And I learned that quick because I didn't know at the time. You know, I didn't know, 10 years ago, I didn't know what it took. But now down to the T, I know what I need to make every single day to know what I need to do, where if I'm off or if we need to catch up a little bit or, so, you only know that because, I mean, when you start having some serious obligations, especially payroll that's, so high and, you got to get all the bad apples out that ain't pulling their weight, you got to be able to identify those things.
Did you ever, like, your company's like pretty sizable? Did you ever have help or like bring in outside help to like help you scale it at any point in time, or did you always kind of just trial and error, push forward, come back, push forward, come back?
Yeah, yeah. I never brought in anyone. Just God. You know, it's been me and God since day one. He's my only partner and everything. So um, you know, my family's helped me out a lot. My wife has helped me out. You know, give me a lot of her expertise in the human resources field. I got a great team of folks. You know that work for me. You know, I got some really, really dope people that work for me, and I've always been fortunate. Even the folks that don't work for me no more, you know, they've always been great enough to bring something to the table that was able to help me scale the business, you know, and help me along the way. So, you know, we all learn together, you know, and one thing about my business is I always try to keep the expenses down, you know, to the point where we can try to make some money, you know, instead of I've been out there already with the heavy, you know, truck payments and different things like that, the things that put you out of business. You know, I didn't want to go through that again. So, but, you know, just other than, you know, like truck notes and loans and things like that, you know, like credit cards, just never anybody to actually help us like scale, just kept going to work every day and still to this day, you know, I'm coming fresh off of leaving the office to come here. But yeah, just hustling daily. That's the only real way that we've ever got anything that we have. I mean, everything I got came from hustling.
Do you read ever, like read books or anything like that?
I hate reading. I'm reading right now because I'm studying and I hate it. You know.
What, for flying?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And listen, I enjoy flying, but I don't even like reading about it. I would read now I tell you one thing that I can get through reading. I can get through aviation stuff. I don't enjoy it, but I like reading developer books. It's funny because I have some really great books that are on real estate that I actually really enjoy reading. And it always came from somebody that actually was in the real estate business that decided to write a book. So, you know,
you can relate to that person.
Well, it's a lot of it's refreshing to hear their story, you know, when you kind of start thinking about the things you go through yourself, you know. And even not only, you know, just that, you know, but just sometimes I take it and relate it to my own business and my own times that I've, you know, might have ran into some problems, or, you know, people that's willing to speak openly and freely in their books. You know, sometimes you can take those things and kind of like, okay, man, I went through this. It's good to know that I ain't the only one going through it. Well, what did he do? You know, and how did he conquer? You know, one of my favorite books, it's not one of my favorite people. Let me make that very clear. But Donald Trump's The Art of the Deal. You know,
was I not just talking about that book earlier?
Yeah.
At lunch, I was like, more people need to read this book.
Yeah. Let me make this very clear. I like Donald Trump as a business person. Wasn't really, you know,
we weren't electing, like, people, in my opinion, like, got off the reason we elect presidents. Like, we elect winners. Like, when you go into a fight, like, you don't bet on Mayweather because, like, he's a good husband.
Yeah.
Like, you bet on him because he's going to win. Donald Trump was, at the time, you know, trying to set us up to win, and his book was really powerful.
His mouth is the only thing that screws him up. You know?
Yeah, if he could keep it shut and off Twitter,
yep,
he wouldn't have given, you know, his opposition so much ammunition all the time.
Donald Trump,
he was his worst enemy.
He was definitely his worst enemy. He did a lot of great things for businesses. You would never notice if you wasn't making that kind of money in business. I have back and forth argument all the time, but most of the time I'm speaking to people whose businesses don't make a substantial amount of money to where as though they really gonna understand it. But he did a lot of great things for businesses, and you would only know that if you was making that kind of money, you know, in business. But the PPP and everything that came from his administration. So I mean, you know, But the point that I was making is that, I was a huge fan. I'm not a huge fan of his mouth.
We can all agree on that.
Yeah, that's the thing. Let me. That's the best way to put it. Is just his delivery. It's just it's out of pocket. But The Art of the Deal was one of my favorite books. And if you read through that book, and if you read it, you know what I'm talking about. But he talks about when he was walking down the street and the homeless person. He said the homeless person.
He asked him for money, and he's like, "Buddy, you got more money than me."
Exactly.
Like I'm so in debt right now. Like you got more money.
He was on his way to the bank to renegotiate because they was getting ready to foreclose on everything.
Yeah,
but
it was like a turning point in like his.
Yep. So I mean, like like to hear his story. People say, well, he filed bankruptcy, he did this, he did that, and the third. Man, you can't knock his hustle. He used every resource available that is available in this country for him to use, and that's what he did, and I mean, it ain't a law to file bankruptcy.
Well, if you go to war, like you're gonna get blood on you. Like when you're out in business, like that's how like people look at bankruptcy kind of. I mean, there are people that take advantage of it. So I get that, but bankruptcy is there to be like, hey, look, like you took a risk for the better of society, and it didn't work out for you. You're shit out of luck, so we're gonna let you reset here. But you're still shit out of luck. It's really not a help. You're not really getting helped out in a bankruptcy situation.
Well, you tried, and I don't think no multimillionaire or billionaire goes into anything saying that I'm gonna build this and then file bankruptcy. You become overwhelmed. I've been there before. I've never filed bankruptcy by the grace of God. But I definitely have been to the point where, the people are ringing at the doors looking for their money, and I don't have it, and and I can only imagine with scale that was on a level of $200 million or something like that when my little 100,000, was ringing heavy at the time, but just people like him, just looking at stories that, when you are able and capable of building something from whatever got handed to you, next to nothing, Trump wasn't Trump when he became who he was. He built it all. I don't care if his dad gave him 14 million or whatever he gave him, but I mean, he still built nobody would turn it down. Nobody. If he said, "I'm gonna give you this or show you the game on how to get it," nobody would turn it down. So, but that was a really good book. So that's the answer to your question, man. Books like that, I love to read. Those rental books, just showing you how to just cash flow. And if I decided to get into, the banks and different things like that, just like reading those kind of books. But it has to be something that's really, really piques my interest.
Yeah, for sure. I'm the same way. I only really read like banking books and history and stuff like that.
See?
I'm real into history because I think like the more you read about history, like the more you can kind of see things clearly today.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of stuff.
I agree to that.
What's something? What is something like the fish thing? The fish thing is like what I said to them earlier. Like somebody said something about Catholicism, or we were talking about something, and I was like, well, like, do you even know why Catholics don't eat meat on Fridays? And like everybody's like, well, no, it's like part of the religion. I'm like, well, no, the Catholic Church had a monopoly on the fishing industry back in like the 1500s, 1600s, and in the feudal times or post-feudal. It's like they needed to raise sales, so they made meat illegal on Fridays, so people had no choice but to buy fish so that they could make more money.
Okay.
So it's like people are like, wait, that can't be true. It's like, no, because you've been following something blindly your entire life, and you had no idea why you were doing it. Wow. And I love, like, that happens. When that happens to me, I'm like, holy, that's why we do that? Wow. I love that, like, feeling, and, I don't really get that from history.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's like stuff like that. I'm like, holy shit, that's why we do that. I need to tell people this, and people are like, that's not true.
There's one other thing I can read too. I can read anything. When you say history, this is short-term history, but I can read anything about 9/11. I can read anything about that. I was fascinated with 9/11 and how it impacted our country, and I was a big part of just being emotionally hit by it. So I can find myself reading anything about 9/11.
Yeah, because you were young 20s then.
Yeah.
So you were just kind of like getting started out in business at that point?
I was actually in business. I was in business, and I actually I went to New York and moved cars for free. And I always loved New York. I always been a big New York fan. When I would drive, I used to haul cars for an auction, and I used to haul cars. And this is before the trend. This is when the Twin Towers were still up. So I would always stop my truck on the side of the highway and get out and take pictures in New York with the Twin Towers and stuff. So I was always fascinated with New York City. I'm still a huge fan of New York right now today.
Yeah.
So I love Manhattan. I mean, just big on. I'm a city life guy, so and I'm from Philly, so but New York is definitely.
New York's a city.
Yeah.
Philly's a big town.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you start traveling the world and stuff like that, you're like, Philly's not a city.
Yeah. You start seeing New York and Hong Kong and places like that. Nah. Yeah, that's exactly right. But yeah, New York is amazing. It's so many different boroughs, and it's so much going on. There's so many cars and taxis, and that's the life I love. I'm a suburban guy, but I'll take
action.
I like the horns and the buses and the subway and all that stuff. That's who I really am.
Yeah, that's awesome. How do you see New York getting through like the next couple of years, like as far as like Manhattan goes?
I don't know, man. I think New York is on all. I mean, a lot of people moving out of New York, just because. But I mean, you got people moving out. You got people that's gonna be moving in. Them buildings is there, and them businesses is gonna be there. I'm not really too sure about how they're gonna overcome a lot of different things. Didn't somebody just resign from up there or something like that?
Yeah, so they've had like resignations. Cuomo, the governor's got a sex allegation against him.
Yeah.
The governor or the mayor of New York City is like Blasio's going hard on the mask and vaccine thing, and they're losing more police. Like they've had more resignations and things the last year than they've had. Like they can't afford to lose anybody. So it's just kind of like it's going to be a weird place for a little while.
I hear my cousin, my cousin is I hear him, we talk sometimes about, his job, but he's a New York City police officer. So whenever he's in town or whenever, we chatting it up, we talk about it, and it just seems like everybody's up there is just doing their job and, and just
getting by like the rest of us, short-staffed.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, nurses are short-staffed. Have you heard about like any of the nursing sign-on bonuses they're giving in the Philly hospitals?
They're giving a sign-on bonus to everybody.
$25,000.
Wow.
So like nurses are like they're trying to be like, oh, we're losing nurses. What do we do? Give everybody $25,000 that signs on. So all the nurses that they thought they were going to attract left to go to the other hospital that's also offering the $25,000. So like literally they thought they were going to create this huge solution, but like it was like whoever let the most money out first like got all the people, and now there's like a worse problem at some of these hospitals.
That solution, that sign-on bonus was the silliest thing in my opinion for a bunch of businesses to do.
You disrespect your current employees.
Yep.
Like what are you supposed to do? Go around and give $25,000 to all the existing nurses?
Yeah.
You're going to scorn all your existing employees.
Listen, that's a horrible thing that all these businesses are sign-on bonus and this, that, and the third. And I'm guilty of even suggesting it in my own company. I'm like, maybe we should get a sign-on bonus. And I came to my senses and like, I'm not giving nobody shit. Like either you want to work or you don't. Like you want a job, I'll give you a job. You want something for working. My HR,
you don't get a bonus for starting work.
Yeah,
you show up hard as fuck for a year, and then I'll give you a bonus.
Man, fuck that.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm
Like
not
like
giving you
thanks for
shit.
filling out this app. Here's some money. What the hell? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, like you want to work, I'll pay you well.
The only company or the only institution that can give signing bonuses, in my opinion, is the military.
Yeah, I agree. That's an incentive. You can die.
It's like you could get shot in the face.
Yeah, right.
We'll give you
Exactly.
$50,000. You could go buy Camaro real quick.
or put your family in a situation where if you do die, you okay.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm telling you, I ain't. Listen, I'll pay you well. Like one thing about my company is I'm very proud that we have really made some significant changes into paying our people really really well.
Yeah.
And
It takes time to get there.
yeah,
Like I tell like our current crew of guys, like our ride or die team,
yeah,
like they will reap all the benefits.
Yep.
And then you see other companies like offering healthcare, 401ks and all this, and like you go to our guys and they're just like, no, we're good. Like we're getting the money, we've got the goals, like
Yep.
there's bigger things that we're getting
Yep.
longer term, and like, there's a lot of trust in us to deliver that, which
Absolutely.
I wear I wear that proudly, but I know what responsibility that is. So it's
Right.
like kind of like I don't understand why people think that there's just like this like ease about doing things. It's like we're gonna find the ease, and to us internally, it's like no, we're gonna do it the right way. It's probably gonna be the difficult way, but like the benefits of doing it the right way, like will yield such long-term benefits.
absolutely.
And there's a lot of things that are currently happening now that we set up like previously, and people are like, oh, what are you guys doing? Or like, what's this?
Yep.
And it's like, well, we made these decisions so long ago that it's like people weren't seeing what we were trying to do in the beginning, and now people still don't see, but there's starting to be people seeing, and like you're starting to be like, oh, I think I understand what's going on here, or the goals are pushing on quality and things like that. It's
Absolutely.
like at first it's like, why are you pushing on quality? Just build houses and make the money.
Yeah.
It's like, well, yeah, but what if something happens and there's less people to build houses? Is the best company still going to be building houses?
Yeah.
Probably.
You don't want to.
And that's
one
how
of them.
I operate. It's like you got to operate like your back's against the wall all the time.
Absolutely.
I need to be the best because when it matters, the best wins. Like, yeah, there's rock, paper, scissors, but I'm the gun.
Mhm.
Right.
It's like you guys can play rock, paper, scissors over there, but like when you bring your shit over here,
Yes.
it's gun.
Absolutely.
And like that, like those people, like were always like, especially when I was younger, like young 20s, I'd be like at parties and stuff, be like trying to talk business and stuff with people, and they'd be like, "Who's this loser?" And then like I've had people that like were at those parties now like come up to me, and now they've like tried to become realtors or insurance brokers or whatever like salesy position they're taking. They're like, "Damn, like I remember when you used to like we're talking about all this stuff." I'm like, "Yeah, no, it's 10 years later and I have it." It's like that's what it took. It took 10 years.
Wow.
Like, you know what I'm saying? So you got to be about it for so long.
Absolutely.
And honestly, back then, I thought if I was like about it hard enough, it would come faster than that.
Right.
But now when I like talk to guys like this or like, like Brian Marin, like all those guys, it's like, it's 10 years. It's like the better part of 10 years.
Right.
Almost always. If you're real dumb, it's like 20. But like the average I've noticed is like 10 years. Usually it takes people to figure it out.
Yeah. I would agree.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then it's like survival of the 10. It's like, can you survive your own mistakes for 10 years
Yeah.
before you like wake up and realize? And like your best bet is like somewhere around year 7, you're like, there's got to be some better way. There's got to be a better way. And then you get into this like, I'm going to find the better way. And you're searching for better ways all the time. And then you find like Grant Cardone or Andy Frisella, and you find all these people putting out the information. And then you got to sift through all the bullshit of their information to figure out like who actually is the person. And I found it's much easier to connect with like Byron or somebody else that like I can go to his business. I can like meet his people. Like that was always easier for me to do than like trust in like some dude selling something over a podcast.
I tell
Like, let me meet somebody just doing it.
I tell my daughter all the time. I tell her all the time that you guys got something that we never had in business growing up. Y'all got social media.
Yeah.
You just made a comment about Grant Cardone and this person and that person. That was social media. But I come from an era where we didn't have social media.
You have
And
phone books.
We had phone books. We had quarters and payphones. And we had beepers. We didn't have, the cell phone that this right here, you gave me this back in 97, 98. And I was the hottest thing smoking, but we didn't have that. So we had to make do with building businesses with the phone books, like you said, or flyers, or going by and shaking hands.
You actually had to build relationships to earn someone's business.
I would get in my car when I was 18, and my dad had left me his car, and I had a tow truck at the time. It's my first business, a towing business. And if I wasn't in a tow truck towing a vehicle, I was in my car passing out flyers, shaking hands to try to tow people's cars. I had a special $25 anywhere in Philadelphia. And I had a flyer that I made up because there wasn't no computers back then. I mean, not computers that most people could afford. So I wrote me a flyer and kind of designed it with a Sharpie marker and drove my car to Kinko's. This is back in the day before you had like I know that we didn't have a computer and we didn't have
like a copy machine
and
yeah.
stuff at home. So you remember Kinko's. So I drove up to Kinko's and made a bunch of copies. And when I wanted to make a smaller flyer, I would put 4 lines on a piece of paper and write the same thing 4 times and copy those and then cut them. Exactly. Yeah. And that's what I would do. I would run around the city. I would go to all the repair shops. I would go to all the, the salvage yards, whatever, and I would shake hands and meet people and talk to people. And I watch all my buddies now. I don't know that they do that no more, but I never got away from that when I was in that business. But now what do people do? They turn to social media. People need to hire people. They go to social media. People need to, they're trying to build their business. What are they doing? They go on to social media. All the real estate typhoons and people that's local, all the, shout out to all the real estate people that I know I follow. They go to social media, because there's a group of people that you can buy or that will buy into you right on social media. But
we create a community very efficiently.
Yep. But we wasn't able to do that back then. So if you was a hustler back then this right here is easy. That's why when you come to my Instagram or my Facebook, like, I don't have a lot of followers. Like, I mean, I've never been that person that engaged because I'm on the boots I'm boots on the ground for real. Like, like I'm not on social media, but my phone's at my office is blowing. My
I mean, yeah, we can attest to that. When you walk in and your phone was going off a lot.
Yeah, and it's probably about 20 missed calls now. I just silenced it. You know what I'm saying? But that's my cell phone. But my office line, I already know, like I'm good at what I do, and it ain't social media. I'm good at building real relationships with people. See, in social media, if I got 10,000 people following me, only really 200-300 people probably really care about what's going on. And maybe out of that 200 or 300, only really 10 of them is going to buy into what I got going on. So why don't I go straight to the source? If it's 10 people, because I got to keep doing these videos and keep showing people, who I am and, keep validating myself, I might as well just take myself to the person that I need to go directly to and do business with them. And that's the way it's always been. I used to do motivational stuff on the internet, on social media. I do miss doing that. I got a little depressed when Corey passed away, so I stopped kind of like being on the internet like that. Not really much posting, just here and there, some stuff here and there. But but I've changed too since then. So
understandably.
Yeah, right. So we all change. But for social media, man, I just never, I never made money from social media. Didn't have no impact on any of my businesses at all, not one. Sometimes I ask myself, like, why does my businesses even have a social media page? Because we ain't never hired nobody from off of them. We ain't never got no business from none of them. What I like it for is it just opens up the community for the internal team to see everything. But then now that you got Microsoft Teams, or something like that, it's like the same thing. So, but just the employees to meet each other and kind of like, if you work in Texas, but you work in Indiana, we can kind of see each other pictures. But
create a little micro community.
Exactly.
Well, that's cool too, though.
Yeah, that's
almost more effective and more meaningful than having a lot of followers.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I had a message from somebody earlier that, like, I talked to him personally through Instagram, but I didn't connect because I'm selfish with Instagram. I really don't spend too much time. I connect with I'll find people like you. And I'll connect in every day with the people. But
right.
I just don't have the time.
Yeah. See, I got a lot of people that I don't have a ton of followers, but my followers is some heavy hitters. Like they meaningful people. I have 1,500 people that I can probably go through there and raise I can raise $1 million by 10 o'clock tonight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? With a phone call in my word. You know what I'm saying? So, screw about all that other stuff. I mean, if it ain't about, how many people you know, it's who you know.
But this guy, like, I didn't realize we also, like, he follows our business. Like, I didn't realize he was connected to this other business page. And he was like, yeah, I'm trying to build my following, here's my business page. And I was like, oh, cool. Like, we already, follow you from most of our accounts. I'm like, well, what are your, like, he was asking for advice on how to build a following. And I'm like, I don't really have that big of a following at all. So there's that. But then I kind of asked him a question. I'm like, well, what are you trying to do? I was like, are you trying to just, like, reach the whole United States with your, like, remodel business? Like, you can't drive all around. Like, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to connect with people, like, in your same position? Are you trying to meet people locally? Because we've found that, like, the social media for us is really just a backstop.
Yeah.
It's like I get out there and, like, me and you meet at the bar. I'm, like, talking to your wife. We're having a good time. You're like, oh, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, I own this company. You're like, oh, well, what is it? I'm like, well, just follow our Instagram. Check it out.
Yeah.
And the next thing in the morning, you're, like, on the toilet. Like, oh, shit. Like, I need this guy for that.
Yeah.
It's like it makes us look good after we've done a good job, like, making a friend.
Yeah. I try to push the big businesses like my wife's business. Like, she's an interior designer. So I push them followers on her. Like, you need all the followers. You need people to see your product because that's what
That business is driven by that.
Right, exactly. So when my wife started her Instagram page, I was all on her like, honey, you need like 200,000 followers, or let's hurry up, get it into the thousands and she's like, no, honey, I don't care about that. I'm like, but you got to do this. This is they got to see because I mean, when you come in my house, I mean, we get compliments because my wife's a designer, so she's just great at what she does. So the home is
beautiful, probably.
Yes,
Yeah.
very, very, so, but it's all thanks to her. Like, I mean, when I walk in my house, it's, sometimes I'm like, damn, so I've learned over the years to recognize and to appreciate my wife for what she's really great at. So when I really took that and tried to convert it into a business, because I'm always thinking about the money. Like, she just talking about having fun and, maybe just building this brand for herself, but I'm thinking like, all right, we gotta make some money. I need to put you in the ad in the Oprah magazine, so I need to expose you, and that's the stuff that I'm focused on more. So yeah, when it came down to Instagram and Facebook and followers and things like that, I always tried to put it on her. So if you needed flowers, you knew who to call. You knew to call Ms. Melissa May Florals. If you needed, you were getting married or you needed a, some kind of designing, home designer or stager or something, then you knew it was Melissa May Designs. So, my businesses, I realized early on that they just really it didn't matter how many followers we had, or it just didn't matter. Like I didn't care. Like I mean, I learned that.
Your help is like you're helping people out of a jam.
Yeah,
they're not like liking Instagram
Nope.
posts on your page while they're waiting.
Oh,
for
he
you.
fixed the truck.
It's like, oh, he just fixed that truck. He's coming to mine next. Like,
Exactly.
nobody gives a shit.
But we have it so you can kind of remember us if you ever in a jam.
Yeah.
Like if you're in a car, I don't care if you never had AAA. If you break down, you think AAA.
Yeah.
I don't care if 50 of your homies got tow trucks. If you break down, AAA is going to cross your mind. So that's why we put the content out there on the regular, just because we have a lot of big trucking companies that follow our page that use us. So it's refreshing to them, and it keeps them in their mind. If we post something every day and they're scrolling every day, they got 15 trucks broke down, I'm calling Interstate.
Yep.
I'm calling Interstate.
It doesn't matter to have 10,000 because only 5 of them have companies.
Right, exactly.
it. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, social media is a tool. You have to kind of find how
If
it
you-
works best for you.
Yeah. I try to teach my daughter that, use it as a tool.
Yeah.
Don't allow it to
Govern you.
exactly. That's and that's what it does with our children right now.
Do you experience that at home with your kids? Like they're all up into the social media.
My daughter lives in it. I mean, and my daughter is like, I can't say that I hate it. I don't love it, but I understand. But I be trying to get her off of it because I be trying to prepare her for her adulthood. She's 18 right now, so she's getting ready to go to college, and I just be kind of wanting her to, like cut it down a little bit so we can focus on school and so we can focus on whatever you got going on afterwards. Hurry up and hit it big so I can retire, come take over these businesses or something like that, so I'm trying to put her there, because if she can get where I was at 18 and I can see that, then I know it's gonna be gravy
okay,
for her, right? Yeah, for her. It's I tell her all the time, I'm straight. I didn't live my, 18 and 20s and 30s. I'm in my 40s now. You got to get here, you got to get here, and hopefully, you can get here without having to go through the hurdles that I went through. That's the goal.
Dude, that's awesome. I really appreciate you coming out, man.
Yeah,
No problem, bro.
Dude, I'm so glad I harassed you for a straight year.
It's all good, man.
Dude, I knew there's something about you. I knew this guy was gonna be. He's just a cool guy. You just put off that vibe, man.
Man, I appreciate
all
y'all
respect,
having me,
though.
man. Absolutely.
Yeah, dude. Thank you so much. So, yeah, you definitely learned a whole bunch of shit on this episode.
No,
so,
yeah, I mean, I
if
did
you
too,
didn't,
shit.
yeah, definitely hit the subscribe button. Go find our man here. If you, I don't know, want some advice, have some questions, whatever, he's out there.
And _B_Tarlton TARLTON on Instagram. That's really the only platform that anybody else need to follow me.
Yeah, so dude, thanks for coming, thanks for listening, watching. Thanks to Gilmar, and we're out.
All right, peace.